Hello and welcome back to Wild Tales. I am your host, Mike Bona, and I would like to thank everyone who's returning to listen to another interview story guest and welcome any new first timers who are here for the first time. I hope you enjoy what you're about to listen to. If you've been listening to the past few podcasts, you may have noticed that quite often the discussion will at some point turn to talking about giraffes. And that is because if you aren't familiar with me and my work, I have many years of animal experience, and many of those years are working with giraffes. I'm very passionate about giraffes. I've worked hand in hand with the Giraffe Conservation Foundation. In fact, just earlier this year, I was in Namibia working on a translocation project with moving giraffes from Namibia to Angola, where they have been extinct for several decades, and now we're reintroducing these species back into the country of Angola, which is very exciting. But also along those lines, I do fundraising for giraffe conservation. And I have a show that I'm very proud of that I put on every year that's called Laughs for Giraffes. It is a stand-up comedy show that raises funds for the Giraffe Conservation Foundation. And through that, I have become friends with many stand-up comics. So although this show, Wild Tales, will mostly have guests on who are professionals in the animal field, I also would like to occasionally invite on some comedian friends of mine because, one, they're fun to talk to, and they're just good storytellers. And without exception, today's guest is Eddie Pepitone. Eddie is a stand-up comic, also known as the Bitter Buddha. He has a very unique voice in comedy. He has a mix of ranting and absurdity and heartfelt reflection. You may have seen or heard him in shows like Community and Bob's Burgers and Brooklyn Nine-Nine. He has a stand-up special that I think is a lot of fun. That's you can see on most streaming platforms now. And he has a new one coming out soon that we don't have a date on, but keep an eye out. You can learn more and find out at eddiepepitone.com. And yeah, if he's in your town, if you see him at a comedy club near you, I highly recommend checking him out. Perhaps get a babysitter. Leave the kids at home. That's all I'm saying. He's family friendly enough for this podcast today, but not necessarily if you go see him do live stand-up. He may use a few naughty words from time to time, but he was a lot of fun to talk to. We had a great conversation about the birds in his life. I hope you enjoy, and let's get on to guest today. Please welcome Eddie Pepitone.
So cool, man. And so I'm looking at your posters there. A lot of animal stuff, huh?
It's actually all the posters are Disney themed. They're all the Disney rides.
Disney rides? Oh, really?
I know. We're that.
Are you into Disney?
I married into it, but yeah, we got Connor's Jungle Cruise, the Columbia boat, Peter Pan, Dumbo.
I have a comedian friend, who's married to Jeffrey Sherman, and his dad was one of the big composers for Disney.
Oh,
I forget Sherman's first name.
Okay,
but anyway,
and then I got my bearded dragon behind me. I don't know. You can't really see him in the light, but
what is that?
Bearded dragon.
What is that?
It's a lizard.
Oh, it's a lizard. Okay. Wow. Oh,
I'm here.
Oh my goodness.
They're from Australia. They're good pets. They're pretty chill. You just hang.
Do you let them run around the house? Or
yeah, when the dogs and cats aren't running around.
Oh shit. Yeah. No.
As you can imagine, I have a lot of animals here. All right, buddy.
Yeah. So you want a story about an animal, yeah?
If you got something. So, it's I interview quite a few like animal professionals and like wildlife conservationists, and because their lives are evolved around working with animals. They have a lot of stories, and you're the first comedian I've had. Hopefully, not the last. But the art of comedy is basically the art of storytelling. Would I be correct in saying that?
Yeah, 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 I think so. Yeah, the story for me is always changing and it's very in the moment, but it is like the story of my life. I think there's a lot of comedians who just kind of approach it from jokes, like I'm gonna tell a joke about this and joke about that, where I'm like, I've told the audience before that I don't have punchlines. I am the punchline, and I'm kind of like representing the absurdity of life. It's all so absurd, and I'm here to show you how absurd it is.
That's a good description of your comedy. I love it. It is quite absurd, and you have the ability to just take over a room better than any comedian I've seen. You just have everyone rolling in laughter,
that's
with
why I
absurdity.
came on this show today, so I can hear stuff like that.
just came on from the compliments.
Yes, that's all I'm about.
You're a cheap date. I like that.
Yeah. That's what social media is about for me, all that validation, And did you hear today the Surgeon General wants to put a warning label on social media for kids? Did you hear that? That's a news item today.
Oh, I'm sure that'll work.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, this is bad for me. Let me log off.
I wonder what the warning would say. I didn't read the article, but
warning: this application will fill your head with endorphins.
Yeah, exactly.
You're now entering a time-traveling device. The next 5 minutes will actually be 5 hours.
Yes. It is brutal though. The social media for kids, I imagine, is like not good. That's what do you have kids?
It is. I have 2, and we try to keep them off social media for the most part. And my oldest just turned 18. Yeah, my oldest just turned 18. So he started Instagram, and for a moment, I'm like, don't do. I'm like, oh, what? You're 18. You can do what you want.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But they were too young. My daughter, she's 16, and she's got, I think, like, she's on TikTok and stuff, but she doesn't post. She just looks at videos, and most of them are harmless. So I'm not too concerned. Yeah. Try to keep track of what they do.
Oh, really? Yeah.
It's hard being a parent, especially if they have phones. It's kind of hard to prevent them unless you take the phones away.
How do you? Yeah, I can't imagine that. Yeah, kids being kept from phones and social media. It just seems like it's part of life.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine how my life would be different if I grew up with all that. And I'm kind of fortunate I didn't.
Me too. And yeah, it's hilarious that we had to do things like call people on a landline. Just when I was really young, I'm 65. When I was really young, I could just be walking in Brooklyn looking for my friends. We would always meet at a certain place or whatever. Instead of like constantly texting and all that stuff,
Yeah, my daughter right now, she's up in San Francisco. She's visiting her grandparents, and they have an old rotary phone like in the basement somewhere, and it's plugged into the wall, and she just loves to like call me on it. It's just the most novel thing. She'll
on the road,
like I just dialed
that's
a rotary phone. Yeah, so it's all
that's funny. So my story.
Yeah, let's hear it.
And I'm just going to keep it current. Like, I love animals so much. Like my pets. Right now, I have a 1-year-old Charlotte Terrier, and she's 15. She's senior, and I'm like kind of freaking out, thinking, "Oh man, she doesn't have a lot of time left," and that's really a bummer to me. But she's healthy. Ish, and then a cat, Sherman. But me and my wife, what we've started doing is we have, and I don't know why it took us that long to do this, but we have started putting out bird feed on our balcony, and it is so cool to see these birds. They're actually out there now, a couple of them. Doves, mourning doves. I looked them up because I love birds. I love birds. So we're feeding all these wild, not only birds and wrens, the doves and the wrens. And I looked them up. I don't know if it's robins, but they're beautiful. They're like orange-breasted. Once in a while we get yellow-breasted. I love birds. I love the shadings of birds. And they kind of have our schedule down, which is we get up late, and yesterday I got up really late and I came downstairs and these birds are just looking through the glass, looking like, hey guys, it's fucking 2:00, yeah. Like they're like, I feel like they're like pets at this point. And it's not only birds. We started feeding, I throw out, there's crows and ravens also, peanuts, walnuts, and possum. I was always a little freaked out by possum. My wife was like, no, they're really sweet. And we now feed at least 2 of these guys. They're like silver and black or white and black. And they're pretty big,
Oh, yeah.
and they're the sweetest, man. They have these long freaking noses, and I videotaped one of them. I can send you the video. I videotaped one of them because we put out food to them, like kibble and some cat food, because there's also a couple of stray cats in the area. But so I'm feeding all these birds, crows, ravens, squirrels, stray cats, and possums. And it's like we have an ecosystem here. And I don't own a house, so we're in an apartment where we have a balcony with a really nice tree in front of us. And a lot of times the landlord will trim this tree like down to its bare branches. And I'm praying that they don't do it this year because we've created an ecosystem.
Oh yeah.
At this point, these it's so wild because when I walk my dog and it's interesting. I also see their patterns of feeding. Like they'll stay away for a while and then, a few of them come and then they all kind of come, you want to see them? I could.
Oh, if you can scan over, you got birds there now?
Yeah.
We're on an adventure.
Can you see them?
I see the, I can see the presence of birds. It's hard to make out. Oh, is that a dove right there on the rail?
Yeah.
Well, a dove.
And a couple of the little guys just flew off.
And that's the tree in front of you?
Yes, that's the tree.
Oh, let me tell you, if they do, just random thought, if they do come and trim that tree, let me know, because that's a Chinese elm, and a lot of the animals at my zoo will eat that. I'll come pick it up, and at least it'll...
Are you serious?
I'm serious, yeah.
Oh, you recognize it as a Chinese elm?
Yeah.
Well, when they cut it, they have that thing that they throw it in,
The chipper, yeah. We try to go out. We see people trimming trees. We try to beat them to the chipper, and we'll bring them to the zoo if closer to you.
If they give us a heads up, these scumbags, if they give us, say, hey, we're coming to do the tree tomorrow, they're such scum, though. They don't even though, like, when they trim it, like, we wake up to guys in the tree with a chainsaw, and I just want to kill them because I'm like, leave the fucking tree alone,
Yeah, it's a lot of, animals make that their home. But, But yeah, you are at the proper bird watching age, so it's
Is that right?
Yeah. So actually, if you're really interested, I do have a coworker and a friend that's really into bird watching. He'll take you on. I'll take you on an adventure. He'll show you all the
birder
all about. Sport? Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, I'd like to hook that up. I'll take my wife with me. But I have a friend, another comedian, and maybe he'd be if you're into talking about birds on this, Adam Caton Holland.
Oh, yeah.
Good
I was actually, when you started talking,
and he's a birder.
Thinking about him.
He's a birder, and he lives in Denver. He takes his kids to bird some, if that's the term. And he also did it in L.A. though when he lived.
I think he's in L.A. this week, actually.
That's right.
Yeah,
he's at Dynasty Typewriter, I believe.
Have you heard his giraffe joke?
No, I probably, but I forgot.
Oh, you'll have to. I won't do it justice, but basically, taught his child at a young age asked what sound does a giraffe make, and not knowing the answer, they lied to him and said, "Oh, giraffe sound. They yell hort." And he convinced his child that that's what a giraffe says.
Yeah,
and just waited for him to go to school one day when the teacher asked what sound a giraffe make, and for him to raise his hand and yell out "hort" in the middle of a classroom. So he had a whole bit about it, and it's freaking hilarious.
What sound do they make? Do you know?
They're mostly the strong silent type, but they do make a sound more like a coughing grunt sound, kind of like a sound. But
Smoker's cough.
Yeah, kind of like that. But only if they're like really trying to intimidate you or feel threatened. But most of their communication is body language with their neck and their posture. So they're mainly the strong silent type.
Okay. Yeah. So that, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about, is just how beautiful it is to connect with quote unquote wildlife,
Yeah. Even in a big city, there's wildlife right in our backyard that you can enjoy and appreciate. You got your birds, your actually they're little educational. They're opossums,
is that what they're?
Yeah, it's the Virginia opossum. The term possum is actually used for an animal in Australia. Their possums, ours are opossums.
So these are the opossum,
and they're the only marsupial in North America, which means they have a pouch that they raise their young in.
Oh, okay, yeah. And they're really sweet.
So I'm assuming they're nocturnal. So you see them at night? Is that when they come out? Yeah.
It's at night. Yeah. At night we put out the food and they're there, and they're getting used to us a little bit. And I remember this, but at a comedy festival in Austin, my friend JT Habersat does this thing called the Altercation Comedy Festival once a year in Austin. One of his buddies carries around a possum with him, and I was a little freaked out, but it was before I started feeding him. I wish I would see him again because I'd love, and the possum is just hanging out, friendly, and I've been surprised, through Instagram videos, of course I'm on all these animal accounts, and I can't believe people have owls in their house doing stuff, or it looks that way. I don't know what's going on, but owls who are playful. What other animals have I seen that are just so? Oh, yeah, and then the fact that crows will hang out with dogs. There's a site called Peggy and Molly where this crow is hanging out with this couple of pit bulls, and they get along so well. What do you think of that stuff?
Yeah, I love crows and ravens. They are extremely intelligent. You can train them real easy. I've heard of people training wild crows to bring back any money that they find, and they'll exchange it for bread, for a treat. So,
oh my God!
So I've heard a story of a crow that someone taught to exchange money for bread, and then they learned on their own to go hang out by ATM machines. And when the money comes out, they'll run and grab it and bring it back to their trainer.
Oh,
no! How accurate that story is, I'm not sure, but
yeah,
smart as rain.
I think they can get hurt though, because if they do that, if they do that a lot, they might get hurt. But yeah, they are. I heard this story about a crow that this woman fed these crows regularly, and the crows can identify you and all that. They know who you are, and she was getting mugged right by her house, and the crows attacked the mugger. Now this is what I heard.
Right.
I don't know if that's true, but so they can be used as bodyguards too.
It's good to have a crow as a friend. They're fantastic. Oh, thank you for doing it. Yeah, I know your passion for wildlife is genuine, because I initially met you because you did one of my conservation shows. That's show. You did the pangolin show.
Was that? Yeah, I forgot about that pangolin show. Yeah. When I first heard about pangolins, I was like, oh, they're weird, ugly, or whatever. And they were associated with the pandemic, I believe.
Yeah.
Right? And then I remember seeing them. You showed the video, and I was like, oh, these fucking things are nice. Pangolins are...
They're fascinating animals, and they're one of the most trafficked animals in the wild.
Why is it cut again? I forgot about
they're covered with these scales that are used for medicinal purposes, and it's just sick. It has no true medicinal value, but there's these.
That's what happened with rhinos.
Same with rhinos. Yeah, it's terrible, and that's what we try to combat. Poaching with education and trying to educate people that there's no medicinal value in any of these animal parts. That's what we have Pfizer for. I know horn. We got pills for everything, but
yeah,
it's hard. It's hard to combat generations of folklore and storytelling to people believe.
Is it mostly Asia? In Asia?
Yeah, it is mostly Asian countries, but there's a good amount of trafficking of animals right here in the United States. So
is that right?
Yeah. So it's
yeah, that's what breaks my heart, about the connection to this stuff. Is just how they are abused and taken advantage of. It's very heart-wrenching.
Yeah, I do what I can. Me and my colleagues, we try to fight poachers and try to do conservation through education and raising awareness and funds for organizations and on the field.
Well overseas, like South Africa.
Yeah, in fact, I was just in Namibia recently working with the Giraffe Conservation Foundation. So they did a translocation, and they moved 13 giraffes from Namibia to Angola, a country where they went extinct decades ago. So now there's a new population in a country that they're named after. These are Angolan giraffes, and they went extinct due to civil unrest and civil war throughout the country. But now it's believed that it's stable politically and environmentally to house giraffes again. So hopefully, we brought animals back from extinction in this country. So it's amazing work they're doing. But it always feels like, even when we have a great accomplishment like that, you hear these stories of, species taking a back turn because of wildlife habitat loss, because of poaching. It always feels like it's one step forward, two steps back, but we keep fighting the fight, and hopefully one day, make a safe place for all these.
Well, I think that's really brave to do, because, it's just heartbreaking, and you have to kind of, witness that. Witness the heartbreak of it.
Exactly.
But it must feel good to do that. Yeah, it's like capitalism. I am so anti-capitalist, and it's like a capitalism as it progresses, and we're in the last stages of it. It exhausts everything from profit, including nature. It's all about just profit, and we don't live in harmony, and we're paying the price. I was saying the other day to an audience, and I got a lot of lot of laughs. I would say, well, folks, the good news is because of climate breakdown, human beings will be off the planet soon. And that's the good news, because of just the havoc we wreak. And you remember during the pandemic, how nature started coming back and people noticed, the sky full of birds and all of that. Remember that?
Yeah, we need a new pandemic. Is that the message that I'm supposed to take from this? I'll like this thing about it.
Yeah, something like that. Get rid of the humans. It'll be funny. I should print bumper stickers. Get rid of the humans.
I know. It's obvious we're the problem, but fortunately, there's a good percentage of us humans that are trying to combat the problem and get nature back to nature. But there's only so much you could do. But let's end on a positive note. I have to take that. I have to do that more often. It can be hard sometimes, but you have a podcast, Apocalypse Soon. That's a positive, uplifting title.
Right. I saw the catchphrase is Apocalypse Soon, the podcast with no upside. But it is, I try to be really absurd in that podcast is what it's evolved into, because the only way you combat as a comedian, I think, all these horrific things is through having a deep sense of humor, which I think is life for me, A lot of people will say, oh, Eddie's so dark, but I think my dark sense of humor is the way that I have found, life.
How's that be dark? It may be dark, but it makes people laugh. And in the end, that's what people need is a good laugh. And your comedy may be dark, but it's also just absurd. You're probably one of the most absurd comedians. I say that in the most genuine way, positive way, because I can't control my laughter when I see you perform.
Oh, I just taped a new special in Chicago.
I heard. So when can we expect where?
It's going to be edited by the end of July, I believe, is the target date. And then, hopefully it'll be on some platform. Then it gets shopped around, see where it lands. But hopefully it'll be out around August or something.
Okay. That actually may be around the time I release this podcast. So if we have a date, I'll mention it in the intro or the outro for it.
Great. And maybe we could communicate about that birder.
Definitely. We'll take you birding. It'll be fun. He drugged me out. His name's, again, a shout out. His name's Mario. He's one of my coworkers, and he drugged me out to Lancaster last year because there was a rare tundra bean goose, is what it's called, from Russia that went off course and ended up here in California somehow. So there were bird watchers from all over Southern California going out to this field in Lancaster to see this goose.
Where the poppies are.
It wasn't near the poppies, but it was in the town.
Yeah. I went to Lancaster to check out the poppies I don't know if it's spring when I was out there, but they were gorgeous.
Yeah, birders are hardcore. They go all over the state and the country just to see a particular bird. But we'll get you involved and we'll take you on a local trip to see all of our
that sounds cool.
Wildlife.
That sounds good. Yeah, let's hook that up.
It'll be we'll do. So I'll keep in touch. So thank you very much. So follow Eddie Pepitone, one of the funniest comedians you know. Eddie Pep I'm actually looking at your Instagram. Is it Eddie Pep everywhere else?
Right.
On the Twitch.
And then it's X. It's Eddie.
They'll call it Twitter.
I think it's at Eddie. Yeah, I kind of got disgusted with it.
Just search for Eddie Pepitone. You'll find him.
Yeah.
I guarantee you'll love him.
EddiePepitone.com is the website where everybody
go see Eddie when he's in your town. You won't regret it.
Thank you, Mike.
Oh, thank you so much. All right. Take care.
All right. Bye.
All right. Bye.
Thank you to Eddie Pepitone for joining me and having a nice, delightful conversation. I hope you guys all enjoyed that. If you want to hear more Eddie Pepitone, you can find him on Instagram at Eddie Pep, on Twitter at Eddie Pepitone, and you can find all of his socials and learn where he is touring, where his next show's at, find out where to watch his specials on his website, www.eddiepepitone.com. Really easy to find. Shoot him a message. Say hi. Let him know you heard him on the Wild Tales pod. And also, if you want to send a message to me, you can go find me on Instagram at Wild Tales Pod. It's Tales, Tails, as in animal tales, even though we're telling story tales. It's a pun. Just go with it. Come on, people. Stop giving me a hard time about this. You can email me, wildtalespod@gmail.com. Again, tales is spelled Tails. Maybe that's why I'm not getting any messages, because everyone is spelling tales wrong. I don't know. I'm just having fun. I'm really excited about my next guest. It'll be in 2 weeks. Remember, the podcast drops every other Thursday. So until then, hope you guys all are well. Take care of yourself and each other, and stay wild, my friends.